Good morning, evening, afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark,
And I'm Zoe.
and we are the Board Adventurers. Back to you with another Kickstarter Head Start, where we look at a game that's coming to Kickstarter and kind of give you a who's it for, and will this game kind of fit your kind of playstyle.
So today we're going to be doing a Kickstarter Head Start for Nippon Zaibatsu. This is designed by Paulo Soledad and Nuno Bizarro Sentiero. Apologies if I pronounce any of those names wrong. And this is published by Crow D Games. So the Kickstarter for this game is going to be launching on April 22nd. And you'll be seeing some B-roll of some of the components and the board of this game. Just to note, this is not finalized. The rules are not final as well. They may be different. They're subject to change and may be different from when the game is delivered to whoever backs it. Also want to note that on the Kickstarter, there's going to be two different versions of the game. There's a standard edition as well as an Emperor's edition. They have some component differences between the two versions. We'll be having a link down below of the Kickstarter page. I recommend checking out the page for the game so you can decide which version of the game best suits your playstyle and which one you want to back.
So I'm going to go into how to set up and play a game of Nippon Zaibatsu. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to set up the board in the center of the table. You're going to take one of these, you're going to take the 8 demand tiles, and you're going to set them up in each of the regions that are out on the board per the square. And you're going to rotate them and place them in a random configuration. You're going to take the round markers, which are these things, and you're going to place them you're going to place 2 round markers, one at the very left of the round marker track, and one where the light area is on the round marker track. You're going to take the expert worker tiles and you're going to place them on the Iwakaro mission district where the color matches the expert worker tile. You're then going to take the upgraded department tokens and you're going to place them in a stack in the same location in that Iwakaro mission district. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the worker bag of meeples. So in a 4-player game, you're going to have 48 meeples in this, each of 6 different colors. So there'll be 8 of each color. For a 3-player game, you're going to remove 1 set of each color, and then for a 2-player game, you're going to remove 2 sets. So after you've filled in the bag with the correct amount of worker meeples, you're going to look at the hiring area, which is the top row of the board, which is right above the actions. You're going to take 3 workers from the bag, from random from the bag, and you're going to fill them above every area in the worker area. On the upper left portion of the board, you're going to have the hiring queue. For a 2-player game, you're going to fill in 2 workers per row. For 3 and 4 players, you're going to fill in 3. Next, you're going to take the standard factory tiles. So there are 6 different colored factories. You're going to take, based on the number of players in the game, you're going to take the numbers 1 to 4 for each color. You're going to shuffle and you're going to deal out 1 for the number of players you have playing the game. If this is your first game, you won't be playing with the level, the 5th tile for the factory, but you can have that as an option if you want an advanced level game. Then you're going to take all the goods, which are the goods tiles, which are these boxes here, the iron and the silk, which are in gray and red, and you're going to take the money tokens, and you're going to set them aside on the board, available for easy reach. On your player board, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to set up your player board. And they're going to call this is going to be known as your Zaibatsu. So on your Zaibatsu, there are different areas that you are going to fill in. So we're just going to go through them, what they do. So we're going to start over here on this track. So these are your tracks for your R&D, your mining, and your commerce. So these are just going to track your 3 tracks that you'll have later in the game. You're going to put a little piece at the beginning of each of these to signify its start. Over here on the top, you're going to set up your trains, your machines, and your ships, your machines, and your trains, each in a row. So you'll see that they're kind of tracked on the right side here for convenience. You'll take the pieces that you have and you'll set them up from here. Over here on the far left side, you're going to have your banner. You're going to put your pieces for your 3, your 5, and your 7 influence. So these are these little X's here. They're going to be placed here, which are not going to be used currently, but you can get them later in the game. You'll also put your token that has your 200 and 300 point token on it, and that'll be there for convenience if you make that second lap around the board. What you also want to note is that you have an area. So you have an area to the left of your board. That's where you're going to stack your contracts. You're going to have 8 contracts. You're going to place them face up. When you complete a contract, you can take from any of those and you can place them to the bottom of your board. You also place your other influence tokens on the far right of your board. So you have influence tokens you can add out to the board to begin with if you take that action. But we'll go into actions a little bit later. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to set up your favor tokens. So there are 3 stacks of favor tokens. You're just going to place them here so that when a consolidation occurs, which we'll explain, you can take one of those. Now that you've set up your Zaibatsu, you are now ready to start a game. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to deal out each a pair of A and B tiles for each player that is playing the game. And what they do is the A tiles give you a specific starting condition. You can reference the rule book. We'll show it here, and that'll have the different effects for the A side. And the B side will show you your starting resources. So they'll give you coal, money, silk, iron. Some will give you movement on different tracks to begin the game. You're going to draft the A and B tiles as a pair, starting with the player to the right of the first player and counterclockwise over to the first player. Then once everyone's set up, you can now start a game of Nippon Zaibatsu. So on your turn, you're going to be able to perform one of 2 different actions. So the first action is one of 9 actions on the player board, and the second is a consolidation. But I'll get into consolidation after. As a main action, so again, we're going to go through the 9 main actions here. So the first 2 are your R&D and your mining on the board. And each of those has a varying payment in terms of money. So for R&D, you're going to pay either 1, 3, or 6 money, and you're going to go up either 1, 2, or 3 on your R&D. So your white track will move up that much based on how much you pay. Same thing with the mining, is you're going to go up 1, 2, or 3 based on the 1, 3, or 6 payment that you have. When you take an action, that's something I should have specified, is that you're going to take a meeple from the top in the worker area and you're going to place it onto your board. You're going to take the meeple off of that column, the top of that column, and you're going to place it in the lowest part of your worker area. So you have your worker area stacking all the way up to the top here. If you have a worker at the very top of your Zaibatsu worker area, you cannot take an action. You will have to perform a consolidation. So again, when you take the action, you take it and you place it onto your worker area. Going into the next action, you have the placing a factory. So when you have a factory, there's going to be certain factories already set up on the board. You're going to pay 6 money, and you're going to take a factory from the area, and you're going to place it into your bottom left area for your factory in your Zaibatsu. There are rules for placing your factory. So the first thing is that your factory, for a level 1 or 2 factory, it has to be at a level 2 of your R&D. For a level 2 factory, you need to have it at level 4. And to place a level 3 factory, you need to have your R&D at level 6. So let's say, for example, you have your piece right now at the end of this level 1 here, but you want to place a factory. You can choose to pay a silk for every level of your factory, every level of your R&D that you need to get to that factory required level. So if I wanted to play a level 4 factory, I would need to pay, if I'm at level 1, 3 silk to get to level 4. And then I'd be able to legally place that tile here. So that's factory motion. That's the factory action. What you'll notice for the factory is that you have different symbols for your factory. Factories have a cost, again, at the top left. That's your R&D level. You have a top action. So there are different types of top actions. The lightning bolt signifies an immediate effect that you will get immediately once you build the factory. Some give you ongoing effects when you perform a different type of action. And then at the very bottom of your factory tile, you're going to see what you do for production. But I'll get into production when we get to it. The next action you can do is your machines action. So again, you're going to take the meeple from the top, from above that column, and you're going to place that into your worker tile, and you're going to take one of the machines that you have here, and you're going to place it on a factory. So these factories, if you see here, have a little gears on them on the bottom. You can only place a machine on a factory that you've already placed in your Zaibatsu. And you're going to place it into the open slot that's on furthest left on your factory. You can place up to 3 machines as long as you have the room for them and you have the ability to pay for them. So again, they're worth 5 money. You can play up to 3 of them, and you can place them into any open slots in your factory as long as you have them. Next is production. So on your production, so you'll notice again on your built factory tile. So again, it has to be built into your factory. You're going to have a little cost at the bottom left of that. And it's typically a coal cost. So for a level 1, 2, and 3 factory, you're going to be paying 2, 3, and 4 coal typically. What you'll do is you're going to pay the cost for coal, and you're going to get a good, so these pieces, and you're going to stack them on the bottom row here below your factory based on how much you pay for. So when it comes to production, you can produce up to 3 different times in 3 different colored factories. So they have to be different colors. So you can't have, like say in this example, I can't have 2 black factories produce at the same time. And I can produce based on what I have at the bottom. If you have a gear at one or both of your locations, you can produce an additional good. So if you have no gears, you only produce 1, but for additional gears, you'll produce more for that factory. And you'll produce it outright. The next action you're going to have is your train action. So again, you're going to take the meeple above the train action and place it in the highest space where a worker isn't covered. You're going to then you're going to pay the cost, which is either 5 money and 1 iron, or 3 iron outright to place a train. Your trains are in this row. So you're going to take the farthest left train, and you're going to place it in a region out on the board. There are 4 different regions, each with a certain amount of open spaces based on the number of players. So in a 2-player game, you have 3 spaces. In a 5-player game, you have 3-player game, you have 5 spaces, and in a 4-player game, you have 7 spaces. You can only place 1 train in a separate region on your turn. So you can't place 2 in the same region on your turn. At the end of a round, trains are worth 2 influence for that area. We'll get into influence when we get to the end of the round structure. The next action is your ship action. So on your ship action, it's similar to trains in that you're going to pay 5 money and 1 iron, or you're going to pay again 3 iron outright to place a ship. Ships are on your far top row here on your Zaibatsu. You're going to take the farthest left one, and you're going to place it in the Iwakaru mission area on the board, and you're going to place it in the farthest left area of the board. So again, if you have a 2-player version, only 2 spots are open. If you have 3 players, 3 spots are open per row. And for 4-player, you have all 4 spots. You're going to place your ship in the farthest left area of the board, of that region that you want. You're then going to take the expert meeple from that, and you're going to place it on the lowest section of your worker area. So again, if you've placed your worker here to take the ship action, your expert worker is going to go 1 above you. You're then going to take one of the upgraded department tokens per the location that you place your ship, and you're going to place it on your Zaibatsu where it's located. So each one of those will upgrade a specific color. The importance of this is that you're going to get these again during your consolidation, which we'll get to. The next action that you're going to have is the contract action. So you're going to look at the contracts that you've placed on the left side of your board. To take the contracts action, you're going to pay the cost on the contract. So there'll be different contracts that have different costs. You're going to pay the cost on the left, which is in red text, and you're going to get the reward on the right. What you're going to do is you're going to pay it and you're going to flip it. You're then going to place it on the furthest left section of your Zaibatsu, stacking it all the way to the end. It does not require the factory built for you to finish the contract. So you can place as many contracts as you want. When you pay for a contract, you're going to pay for the cost, and those resources are going to go back into the supply. You cannot fulfill the same contract multiple times. So once you've fulfilled it, you flip it over, and it's a one-time reward. The last action you have is actually one of the biggest parts of this game, and that's going to be your local markets action. And this is going to be possibly the most complicated part of what you're going to do. So when it comes to the action on that for your local markets, it's going to come down to your factories that you have. So let's say, for example, I have this factory here, and it's a paper factory. This paper factory, imagine I have all 4 goods located on my paper factory. You're going to look at the local markets action, and you're going to look first for the paper. The paper row is going to tell you what influence markers you can place out onto the board. So you'll see first that you have, for let's say the paper, you have a 1, 2, or 3 goods that you can pay. Because in a sense I would have all 4 filled in, I can pay any of those 3. Let's say I pay 3. If I pay 3 goods from this, I can take the 3 influence from my supply, and I can place it next to one of the tiles that shows paper on its side. So again, on the board, you're going to have these tiles. This one has paper on it. It doesn't matter where it is on the board. The space that you have is basically the space that you're going to end up covering. So you're going to take that area with the board, and you're going to place your influence next to that tile based on the color of the factory that you've paid the good on. So you can do this 3 different times. And you can do this in 3 different regions of the board. So again, there's 4 regions. You can do it in 3 different regions. That is that action. And those are the main actions that you're going to have for this game. The next thing, so if you can't do one of these actions, you're going to have to do consolidation. So you might ask, what is consolidation? It's a good question. So consolidation occurs when you have your worker line all the way maxed out to the top, or you can choose to say at any level where you have workers, you can choose just to do a consolidation. What you'll do first is you're going to take one of the favor tokens that are at the top of your board. That's only if you've made it to levels 4, 5, or 6 by placing workers. If you have lower than level 4 in workers played, you are not allowed to place a favor token. You are then going to discard all the money and coal that you have in your supply. So you're basically just restarting your round back again from base resources. Next, you're going to get your department and income bonuses. So when you are stacking your different colors based on what you've taken for your actions, they're going to stack up. The next thing that's going to happen is the very bottom worker that you've played, that color character will give you the department bonuses that you have here based on what color it is. If you've played at least 4 workers into your Zaibatsu, and the 2 workers from your top and your bottom are different colors, you can take the resource of the top worker. Again, it has to be at least 4 workers. You'll take that bonus as well. You are then going to get coal and money based on how far your mining is and your commerce. So again, your mining will go based on the top of the row here, and same thing with your money. Then you're going to spend 3 money for every different colored worker you have in your Zaibatsu. So it's kind of like a payment for the work that they've done. You're going to give them their payment, and then they're going to go back into the bag. If you cannot pay for a worker in full, you're going to keep at least 1 money and pay any additional out of your victory points. So now you're going to keep playing actions, and you'll notice that at some point the worker areas will empty out. Whenever one of those worker areas are empty, you're going to fill in with the top row of the worker queue, sliding them into that spot. If there are no workers in the worker queue, you're going to end the round. What'll happen then is that you're going to take the rightmost space, so you're going to move the round marker over one space. After you've moved the round marker one space, you're going to fill in the hiring area up to 3 workers per spot, again from the bag. You're then going to take 3 workers from the bag and fill in the worker queue, which is on the far upper left side of the board. If this is the if the round marker hits the other round marker, you've now reached the final round of the game. What'll happen is rounds will then turn into turns. So there's going to be 3 turns between between that round marker and the end of the game. So each turn, basically each player taking 1 turn, moves that round marker 1 space. Once it passes the last round, it is the end of the game, and then you're going to take you're going to take 1 final round. So at the end of each round, you're going to do an influence scoring check. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at each region of the board. So again, you're going to look in a region, and you're going to look at whatever influence markers you own. So you're going to sum up the number that's on that influence marker, and you're going to add 2 for each train you have in that region. You're now going to compare it to every other player that's in that region as well. If you have the most influence in that region, you're going to score the highest amount based on the round tracker board. So the highest is 10, then it's 8, 6, and then 2. If you're playing a 2-player game, you do not score second place. Once you've hit the final round of the game, you're going to go into end game scoring. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to consolidate one more time. So you're going to get resources, you're going to remove money, get your money in coal, and then you're going to get your resources based on whatever you had to consolidate with. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to check your end game scoring goals. So again, each of these has a different symbol. Whenever you consolidate, you're going to take one of those and you're going to place it on one of these 6 locations here. When you check your scoring, you're going to check to see how far you got on each of these tracks. So if you uncover the location on that column, you get to score that if you have a marker at the very end of that track. So let's take, for example, I have my ships open here, and I have the topmost marker, which is this star-looking shape here. If I've uncovered this, then I would get 10 victory points added on. If I had placed my lowest marker here in the ship's area, I would only get the 5. You're going to do that for each of the 6 tracks coming down. So again, you'll see where it is, and then you'll base it based on the symbol that you have of the marker in that row. When you get to the bottom here, you're going to also look at your factories and your contracts. So again, the tracker is at the very bottom. You'll see how far you've got on the factories, how many factories you placed out, and you'll place their corresponding based on the symbol that you have at the top here. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to add up victory points based on the number of resources you still have at the end of the game. You're going to add 1 victory point for every 2 of the same type of resource you have. So if you have 2 goods, 2 coal, 2 silk, 2 iron, you'll get 1 victory point for each of those. Then you're also going to get 1 victory point for every 6 money you have remaining at the end of the game. The player with the highest victory point total is the winner of Nippon Zaibatsu. If there is a tie, it's the player who took their turn later in the game. With that being said, that is Nippon Zaibatsu. Who do you think this game might be for?
Yeah, I think this game is definitely for gamers who are looking for a mid to heavyweight game. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of actions in this game. I know you went through all 9 actions plus the consolidation action, so it's a lot to kind of manage. But it definitely is a mid to heavyweight game, and it definitely gives you the feeling of running a company from the beginning to the end, where you feel like you could do a lot of things.
Right.
I just think it really works for those type of gamers who want that weight type of game. What about you?
Yeah, I would think I would still put it into that mid to semi heavy.
Hmm.
The game definitely feels it feels heavier than when you actually play it.
Yes.
The actions do feel a little more straightforward. And again, what you're seeing right now and in any B-roll we have is prototype.
Mhm.
So it's again subject to change, but the quality of some of the pieces currently are like almost like I would say
Really nice.
like really nice, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, the actions can be a little. Some of the actions are a little more complicated than others,
Hmm.
and it feels like one of those. If you like an economic game,
Hmm.
this would be something you'd want to at least try.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely try this if you want the feeling of actions rolling into each other.
Mm,
That's definitely a big part of the game for me. Is that when you take an action, then you realize other actions open up for you next turn.
mm-hmm.
And it definitely gives you that feeling of being able to do more. Like at the beginning of the game, you don't feel like you can do as much, but as the game goes, you can feel like you can do everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely gives you that feeling. So definitely, if you're looking
Yeah,
for,
it has that build up
yeah,
idea,
definitely, that's
right?
exactly what we're
Because
going for.
in order for you to do influence, you need to have the factory, you need to have the goods, you need to
Mm-hmm.
have the R&D,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of those is just you're building up so that at that very end of the like last round,
Mm-hmm.
you can then almost combo it all out.
Yeah, and definitely the influence aspect of the game gives it an area control aspect of it as well,
Mm-hmm.
which it coincides with the buildup of the game. You don't really focus on that aspect of the game early on, and all of a sudden, it's the big portion of the game
Yeah.
turns into like an area control aspect of it, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
an interesting aspect of the buildup for this game.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. What else do you think about the how the game flows? Who it may be for?
Yeah. So like I think that's someone that maybe likes efficiency puzzles
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the times it's like you're trying to figure out how I can add influence to the board.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like you need to find a way to get the goods specific of that specific factory.
Mm-hmm.
That factory, in order for you to build it, though, requires a certain level of R&D.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to increase your R&D, but in order to do that, then you need money.
Yeah.
So now you have to increase your money production somehow.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely those like how do I efficiently do this in the smoothest way possible? That's what you're just gonna keep clicking when you play this game.
Exactly. And another aspect too that keep in mind when you're playing this game is that when you're taking an action, you're not just taking the resources, right? So
Mm.
you also have the meeples aspect of it, which complicates it in an interesting way, in which it goes to your board. So you're trying to balance um, how many meeples you want to take before you consolidate, what color meeples you want to take before you consolidate, um, and what tiles you want to get to put to the right side of your board. So there's a
Mm.
lot of things that you're managing
Yeah.
as you take simple
Right.
actions.
That's a good point because your color. So you can take any in a sense action, but you have to take a meeple of a certain color.
Yeah.
Just note that whenever you consolidate, you need to then pay 3 for every different colored meeple. So you
Mhm.
don't want to try to diversify your colors too much because you're spending more by having too many different colors.
Yep.
You might want to focus on one color and then be able to get more money further down the road.
Exactly. And you also want to manage when you consolidate, which is a big aspect of the game as well. And that coincides with the meeple. So all of that it signifies for me if you're interested in these mid to heavyweight heavy games that has actions that does multiple things that you're managing while you're taking simple actions. This is kind of the game for you.
Nice. One thing I think forgot to mention is that once you've played a train out, once you've played an influence out onto the board,
Mm-hmm.
you actually get the goods or the resources on that region.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't specify that before. But each region has its own specific resource that it provides.
Mm-hmm.
You would get either like 2 silk, 2 iron, 2 coal, or 3 money by placing your influence into that region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That is our Kickstarter Head Start for Nippon Zaibatsu. Do want to mention again before we end the video that the game is launching on April 22nd. We are going to be including a link to the Kickstarter page down below. Definitely give it a check. Cool. That is our video for Nippon Zaibatsu. I'm Zoe.
I'm Mark.
See you guys on the next adventure.
Choo choo.